Thank you so much for this opportunity. As has been reminded continuously, we'll not take much time into introduction and all this stuff. I'll introduce the panel and then we'll go straight to the discussion mode. So I have with me Sanchita. She's from Baker Hughes. She's working as company secretary and CSR lead. Dr. Benita, my old colleague, if I can say that, from Zydus and head CSR. Then I have Ankit, who is representing Sneha Asha Foundation. Siddhi was supposed to join, but she's not been able to come because of some reasons. So the topic that we are discussing today is power of CSR for sustainable future. And it's an opportunity as well as irony that we are speaking about this topic after 10 years of CSR Act. So maybe it creates a lot of kind of a pressure for CSR professional also, what we have achieved and what is the way forward for us. And also, how do we build on what we have done till now? So that's the kind of a focus area that we really want to keep in our discussion. So Benita, I'll start with you. And my first question to you would be, what according to you is a impacting factor in CSR landscape? Is it a policy or a corporate willingness or a mix of both, leading to shared value as well as the strategic approach? So what according to you is the prime foundation which is impacting this? If you can start with the discussion, Benita, from you.
Thank you, Rishi, and thank you, Bhatia ji, for inviting us in this forum. I just want to go back to our first session when Sasha and Banerjee sir said something. What is CSR? They gave the different names to us. That is, it should be HSR, that's a human social responsibility. Some said civic social responsibility. I would say in very simple word, Sukh Bhavatu, Anyatha Sukh Dharatu. It's very simple. Be happy, make other happy. And that is a forum what CSR had come up in the thought process in us. Everybody Indians knows over here, everybody has been the philanthropist from throughout their life, throughout the ages. It's not a new thing over here. But coming to this Vasudha Kutum, what Sasha was saying it of, everybody knows. We are one family and we have to make a difference. But today why we are talking over here? Because we are not considering the whole group as one family. We are bifurcated in very different way and not in family but not in individuals now. In fact, individuals are dividing by themselves, they are not able to identify themselves, who we are. Hence, I think these forums are required to come back with the CSR, what is corporate social responsibility. Coming to the question of Rishi, I say it's a policy, it's must, as well as the corporate willingness is also very much required for the CSR. It's very easy to say we are still developing country, India. We need both. We need a framework to work. And good, we are Indian, we should be proud that we are first to do it mandatory. And because of this mandatory, which was started in 2013, as a company act sector and rules came in 2014, at least the steady flow of funds are coming up to social things. At least that money has been blocked for some things. That's one thing, and that's a policy has made it, Indian policy has made it up. 2022, many amendments come up, and these amendments are really useful for the community, for NGOs, as well as for the corporate. They really give us a guidelines, very clear guidelines, how to redefine our framework. And the framework was required, and that framework helping us to us. Now coming more is how to make it more emphasize on the impact assessment implementations. And that is the need M&E was required, it was not just giving the funds. Initially, it was like just take the money, compliance is a CS पीछे पड़ जाएगा, पैसा दो, खत्म करो काम. That was the rule what we were following it up. Nobody was bothering to do it. But now the boards, where we sit in the boards and we speak on, that some topic talks on the table, apart from economics, apart from business, is the board CSR speaks on it. भैया इस पे कुछ करना है, and that's nothing but a shared value, and the CSR has to be considered as an investment. Because everybody is not, one should not always blame corporates. One has to work together, community, NGO partners, government and corporate. All have to go hand to hand, come out with their own uniqueness, best for the CSR coming. The shared values, why corporate now talking on the more shared values? Why we all speak on shared values now? because the resources are for everyone equal.
Dr. Vinita,
Yeah.
I'll intervene here in the interest of time because
Yeah.
I've been strictly reminded 2-3 times that 20 minutes is a maximum.
Sure, I'll just wind up. I just wanted to say that thing.
So
Yeah.
the point that I'm taking from your discussion is CSR policy was good to start with, but
Yes.
at the end of the day, it's a willingness from the management and the corporate, which is very important to drive this to have a sustainable future for us. I'll take a pause here,
Yeah.
and I'll go back to Sanchita towards you. Sanchita, if that's an understanding, I don't know whether you agree to that understanding. Policy was good to have a foundation, but willingness is more important to take it forward. Now you're having two hats. One is your part of the implementation team and part of a CS team which ensures the compliance part. Also, CS team becomes kind of a linkage with the senior management, with the board in any organization. So how do you see sustainability as an important driver, and how can programs be sustainable in a long run? So what is your take on that? Keeping in mind the both aspect where you have to ensure compliance as a CS person and also an implementer from a CSR perspective. What are your thoughts on that?
Thank you, Rishi. And that's a wonderful question to ask for. So, firstly, I am very grateful and honored to be here amongst all of you here, learned members from the industry. As Rishi has already introduced me, I'm the CS and the CSR lead for my organization, Baker Hughes. So, to those of you who don't know what Baker Hughes does, we are into energy technology company. We cater to industrial and energy consumers and are building a future wherein we transition from traditional energy resources to more renewable ones. And we have presence in approximately 120 countries across the globe, headquartered in US. In India, we have been doing multiple CSR activities, not only catering to one segment, but multiple domain areas like environment, education, livelihood, employment, etc. Now, coming to Rishi's question on how can we make it sustainable, and the question that was posed to Dr. Vinita is about corporate willingness and about the policy. So I would agree to what Ms. Vinita said, that it's a partnership of both. Earlier, when the law was introduced, of course, like any other law that's introduced or any other rules that are imposed on an individual or a industry, there is a mode of denial. Okay, so there was a mode of denial, and we are almost 10 years ahead in the implementing the law, and I'm sure pretty much that the corporates don't see it anymore like something that is driven by compliance, rather want to do it willingly. Okay, and this era, that's the next decade that they have started, I'm sure that the corporates are seeing it more in terms of how we can strategically align our vision and goals of the organization to the CSR investment that we are making. And that's what my agenda is from a CS perspective. I wear a lot of hat in the organization, and one of the major hats that I wear is of compliance. Okay, so I play a dual role in the organization, and compliance is something that, of course, any regulated sector would demand. I, being from a corporate background, like I have to comply with a number of laws, similarly with the NGO sector as well. Okay, so of course, compliance is something that we all have to deal with, but how do we ensure that it's more sustainable from a corporate perspective is our employees, which are a heart and soul of any organization, have to be integrated into what we are doing in terms of a CSR projects. And that was, I ensure that we do in Baker Hughes. It's really unfortunate that we don't have a dedicated CSR team in Baker Hughes, but we drive it through our volunteers, and I'm very proud to say that we have more than 100 volunteers amongst 2,000 employees who are working on the ground with the non-profit partners that we have. And these guys are the ones, the volunteers are the ones who are ensuring that the day-to-day activities are being met with. So, Rishi, to boil down to everything and to emphasize on one thing is voluntarism is such a thing that every corporate should look at. It fulfills and it it kills two birds with one stone. Is number one, you are catering to a sector, NGO sector, which needs value addition from corporates, and second is your employees feel a purpose of working in an organization.
Okay. what I was looking was, Sanchita, more from a sustainability perspective, whether we really want to have an exit protocol, or how do you ensure community participation and other typical basis for sustainability. Maybe we'll discuss that at some point of time. But I think what we agree as a panel is that you really need to have kind of a sustainability in your programs, just to ensure that you really build for the future. That can have different elements, whether it's your exit protocol or whether it's your partnership or whether it's your other pillars. Coming back, taking forward to the partnership aspect, one way of partnership is you work with employee. The second way of partnership can be you work with an implementing organization like Sneha Asha Foundation. So Ankit is with us. Ankit, your initial thoughts on the partnership, and if you can focus on the four, I think our panel prior to us was talking about three-way partnership, whether it's a corporate, your NGO partner, and your public sector government. Can we have fourth element also here?
And that is?
Corporate.
So, thank you so much, Rishi, for this.
Because I'm asking you this question because you are working with multiple partners.
Right.
So can we have that kind of a scope which can emerge?
So thank you so much, everyone. It's a great honor to be here and representing Sneha Asha Foundation. To answer your question, that yes, we currently let's start by acknowledging the achievements we as a CSR industries have done. Right? Since last 10 years, the CSR spend has been 2.5x, which is a wonderful achievement for a country like India. And many of the corporates, even I know many of you who are sitting in the room, are spending much more than what you're actually compliance, like mandatory to do, which is wonderful. To answer your question, what we have done at Sneha Asha, and talking about the particularly collaboration, is that we are a very new organization, and yet the way we are able to scale up is tremendous. Currently, Sneha Asha as an organization is working in underserved communities of Mumbai. We are currently having 5 digital labs in municipal schools, and we are supporting scholarship of underserved community youth. Now, all of this was not possible without the collaboration of corporates. Of course, we partner with government in terms of BMC and volunteers, and my friend from TISS is here who provide us wonderful volunteers and interns who support us. So I think collaboration is the way forward. Just to also address the question on the compliance and exit policy, I completely agree that we need to have a proper exit policies as well when we implement a program. Currently, for an example, I having 5 schools. In this quarter itself, we are going to open 10 more schools. That will reach to 15 schools, digital literacy curriculum, digital assets, our teacher implementing it. But if you want to reach out to even more, right, we need to also take into the consideration where do we exit so that we can reach out to more. We can go beyond Mumbai. Surprisingly, what is quite fascinating to me in while working for Sneha Asha and in this industry is that we think that the need is there in tier 2, tier 3 cities in a village, which is absolutely true. But how many of us can even imagine that in a municipal school in a metro city like Mumbai are yet not having a proper digital assets, right? Children are yet not getting a digital literacy within the school setup, and then we are talking about AI. So unless and until we start from the scratch, I'm sorry, I'm just taking 10 more seconds. Our founder, Siddhi ma'am, thought of digital literacy, you know why? Because we started by supporting scholarship students. And while completely supporting their scholarship, we gave them laptop. And one child came back to Siddhi ma'am and said, Siddhi ma'am, I don't know how to use a laptop. It was quite a surprise for us. And saying that, no, because we never had computers in our school. I'm not talking about Bhagalpur. I'm talking about Mumbai, in Mahim, right? In my Mahim school bacha, who passed out 10th standard, we gave him a good laptop to complete his education and scholarship. He said, I don't know how to use a laptop, right? And then said, we need to go back to the roots. So that's how the program of digital literacy started. So I feel scalability is the key for an organization like ours, and if we want to scale not just in 15 schools but 500 schools, I think the collaboration will be the path ahead.
Okay, thanks Ankit. I think you brought in an aspect of a larger impact through collaboration. I think I'll try to build upon on that, but also bring in the aspect of partnership from an academic institution perspective. How many of us are really excited to have a partnership with academic institution to bring in that quality dimension to what we are doing. Also, we talk about three-way partnership, we talk about four-way partnership, but we have never really considered community as a partner to the whole development process, especially in CSR space. I come typically from a development background where community was always a base or foundation for any partnership. So we really have forgotten that part. How do we really ensure this is also, and that's the most important stakeholder. So we'll come back again. I think you brought in the aspect of having a initiative in Mumbai school. But that brings me to a question which Dr. Binita, I'll ask you, and I'll request you if you can reply in 2-3 lines, is a question of where we should have our projects, where we have a presence versus where there's a need. There's always this debate happening, and whenever you see the chart mapped in India, it's highly skewed towards the developed states. So where does we really need to focus on? There are aspirational districts, whether we have a presence out there. So where should we be geographically?
Yeah, 100%. I believe it should be a need. Where the need is there, I think there are corporates now are not focusing just on their areas, but they are focusing different. What Zydus has created a magnificent health hospital in aspiration district Dahod. It's a fantastic, everybody can go down. You, me, anybody can go and take the tertiary care. It's completely free. There are 590 doctors working over there with 900 ward boys and nurses with them, completely free. And it's one of the biggest hospitals in India. We give everything free. It may be operations, it may be medicines, it can be anything. Yeah. But that should be continued something. Okay. But need, yes, definitely where the need is there, that should be there. But there's also need where our companies are there. We are using the employees from there. There's a need of growing that area also. So I would say need is first, but second, definitely the areas, plant site where the companies are located, they should also be benefited definitely. Because we are making a difference in that family directly. So I think both the way I would say.
So you are taking a very balanced approach, Vinita. So when
it is
I asked
required,
you about
actually it is required.
Policy versus management, so it was like...
It's required actually,
okay,
that's the thing.
Okay. Just to provoke a thought process between all of us. That brings me to a different question to you, Sanchita. Our approach should be... which we typically say in development sector, it's an output level or an impact level, whether we want to go at a broader level or a deeper level. Because since the law came in this space, we have been continuously talking about numbers. So whether you really want to chase the number or you really want to chase the impact, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and that has always been a dilemma for both the sectors, I think, whether to go deep and have an impact or whether to talk the numbers out. So I think, and Rishi, you might say that I'll take a balanced approach here. But yeah, it depends ideally on the project that we are working on. So for example, if we talk about a government project wherein during COVID, the government was giving vaccines, so their number was very important. Okay, yeah. The impact, I'm not sure what was the impact. The vaccination might obviously have an impact, but we can't measure the impact in that sense. Okay. Otherwise, from a corporate standpoint, if we say, like there are various corporates who have intervened in a certain geographical area and are doing N number of projects differently in different sectors, and they talk about that we are developing a certain geographical area fully. I am not sure how relevant it would be from an impact perspective or number perspective, because even if they are, like for example, intervening in 10 government schools in a particular geographic area, that makes a lot more difference, because from my perspective personally, I think going to the roots and solving a problem is much more important than just talking numbers. Okay. So I would rather prefer going towards deeper impact rather than just talking numbers.
Yeah, I'm sure when I said this, we always as a representative of corporate have this dilemma. So whether it's a geography, where do you really want to focus versus impact versus numbers. But I think it's important to remain conscious about that, so that whenever you have an opportunity, you can make an effort to reach to the most needy person and also work in a depth. I think that kind of brings us to the conclusion, because we were just given 20 minutes. I've tried my best to close this in 20 minutes, but what we have tried to do in this 20 minutes is looking to the topic of power of CSR for sustainable future. We have touched upon how impact is important. Why is it important? So that it can be scaled at some level. We have talked about policy versus corporate willingness. Policy can be a starting point, but willingness has to come from management or from the corporate in general to drive this future. We have talked about need versus where we are, and we have kind of agreed that we may have a restriction or a requirement to work on wherever we are, but we really need to focus on the needed area. We have also talked about depth versus breadth. We may, in some project, need to go on a breadth where we have to create an awareness, but in many of the projects, we have to go a little deeper. And finally, we spoke about partnership, which is so important for all this to be driven, because as an individual, no one can do this. As a corporate, we cannot do everything. As an NGO, they need support, they need funding support, they need mentoring support. Government has to chip in with their own program integration, and other partners have to also onboard with their own expertise. Then only we'll be able to achieve this dream of making CSR as a sustainable in our future. Thank you so much for your patient listening.
Before you end, just for 30 seconds, if I may, Rishi,
Yeah.
is that if any one of you here want to see the magic, you don't need to travel so far. And I would invite you, Rishi, as well, that come to so many schools we are running currently, right? I went to one school which we run in Dharavi last week, and I met this guy named Asaf, right? He's just in 7th standard. And we have given a full-fledged computer labs with curriculum and teacher. And I asked Asif, why do you want to...
Ankit, I think you have been given time in the lunch also, so we'll come back to that again, to the impact thing. I'm very conscious. I'm very conscious about
the depth and the
I'm very conscious
numbers.
about the time, so I'll just take a pause here. And my request is from anyone because we have to give opportunity to speak to the audience also. Anyone has any question? I can take just one in the interest of time. Any question, any suggestion, or any feedback?